Hello and welcome. You're watching UTV Live at 6.
Good evening. These are the stories making the headlines.
Emergency departments remain under severe pressure as we hear from the son of a patient who waited almost 30 hours for an ambulance.
So she's in the back of one of those. There's 80 people out here in front of her. There's 11 ambulances there, so whatever timescale that's going to take to process.
MLAs return to Stormont for the first sitting of the new year, but there's still no agreement on a draft budget.
And the number of domestic abuse calls to the police over Christmas jumps on the previous year.
Also tonight, it's double Golden Globe success for Hamnet, based on the book by a Coleraine-born writer.
And we have some rain in the forecast overnight tonight, but we do have some drier conditions on the way tomorrow. I'll have all of the details later with the forecast.
Tonight, we bring you an insight into the harsh reality facing patients in need of emergency care. We've been following the case of a 75-year-old woman with motor neuron disease who had to wait for up to almost 30 hours for an ambulance. The fire and rescue service had to assist paramedics to safely move her into an ambulance.
This evening, she is still waiting in the back of an ambulance at Craigavon Area Hospital. And that hospital, like so many others, is currently under severe pressure.
Well, we can join our health correspondent Deborah McAleese now outside the hospital's emergency department. Deborah, this is a disturbing situation, but sadly it's not an unusual one.
It's not, Rose. And tonight here at Craigavon Area Hospital, there are 11 ambulances backed up behind me, and all of those ambulances have patients on board because there just isn't room inside the emergency department. And when the ambulances are stuck outside emergency departments, it means they can't get out to respond to other calls within the community. And one of those calls that they couldn't respond to for 27 hours was from the family of Eileen O'Rourke. Now, Eileen was recently diagnosed with motor neuron disease, and she took a fall at her home in Portadown on Saturday evening. She was in a lot of pain, and her family phoned the out-of-hours GP early on Sunday morning. The GP then phoned for an ambulance, but that ambulance didn't arrive until I think it was around 2 or 2:30 this afternoon. And they brought her here to Craigavon Area Hospital, but Eileen is still waiting in the back of one of the ambulances just further up there behind me. Now, Eileen worked as a nurse here at Craigavon Area Hospital, and I spoke to her son Adrian just a few minutes ago, and he said that his mother has been stripped of all dignity.
It does, like, she's dedicated, like, what's mum, 74, 75, I'm 35, she's dedicated her entire working life as I've known it to the NHS. She actually ran the ICU here back in the day, and to have that many years of service just to be left in the system as such. She hasn't been abandoned. I guess there's not one person to blame, but yeah, it does make me kind of angry at that.
Deborah, you've been covering these problems extensively for a long time, and people are beginning to think that this is just the norm. Just how bad are the current pressures there tonight?
Well, it's not just here in the Southern Trust, Rose. We know that hospitals and health trusts right across Northern Ireland have been, over the past few days, just warning the public about the extreme pressures that they are under. We hear this every winter, but Dr. Michael Perry from the Royal College of Emergency Medicine said that, well, he was working today, and he said that it's as bad as it can possibly get.
I have to say, having worked clinically today, it's pretty bad. It's up as bad as as it can possibly get. I manage in an emergency department today, as I'm sure many of my colleagues are across the region, where I'm literally just trying to keep a space and resource free for a critically ill person to come in. I have a department entirely full with people waiting beds on the ward. I have no space essentially to see 200 plus people that are going to be attending RED today.
And well, ambulances are still arriving as we're standing here, so this is going to be yet another very busy night, not just here at Craigavon, but at emergency departments right across Northern Ireland.
McAleese, thank you very much.
A pregnant woman has died following a two-vehicle crash near Nuts Corner on the Moira Road in Crumlin yesterday afternoon. Catherine Keith Quinones Singo and her baby died in hospital as a result of the crash. A man in the same car was critically injured and several other passengers had minor injuries.
While the crisis in our health service continues, MLAs have returned to Stormont for the first sitting of the new year, but there is still no agreement on a draft budget. The Sinn Féin Finance Minister John O'Dowd set out his proposals for the first multi-year budget in 10 years, but the executive parties remain critical of what's in it.
In a moment, we'll be speaking to our political editor, Tracy McGee, but first, here's our political correspondent, Vicky Hawthorne.
Cameras, lights, but can there be agreed action? The new year for the parties is starting with scrutiny of a Sinn Féin plan for a multi-year budget. There's no agreement on the detail, which will see all ministers face significant financial pressures in their departments. There's much to thrash out over the next few weeks, but the First Minister doesn't want to consider those discussions ending in stalemate.
That may be where we end up. That's not my intention. My intention and John's intention is to work with others to try and find a way forward. But the reality is the money that we have to deal with is inadequate. The funding allocation that we've got from London is inadequate. But that then puts the question on to us, how do we distribute what we have? We're trying to align that as best we can to programme for government. We're trying to align that as best we can to make a difference to people's lives. It's not enough. It's never going to be enough. But I think that's the trick that we have to try and crack in this next 8 weeks of consultation.
The DUP says the 3-year draft budget is deeply flawed, with Paul Given claiming it would result in significant cuts in his education department. The DUP leader remains sceptical about the Sinn Féin plan.
We need a budget that works for the people of Northern Ireland, so there's no point saying we'll agree a budget that doesn't work just because it lasts for 3 years. A budget that doesn't work and lasts for 3 years is 3 years of difficulty in the delivery of public services. A budget that doesn't work and lasts for 1 year is just as impactful in the first year, with still discussions to be had years 2 and 3. The opportunity is to have a budget cycle that works for the delivery of public services, that doesn't compromise on the commitments that this executive made in the programme for government to deliver.
MLAs have been debating the Finance Minister's budget proposal this afternoon. There was no meeting of minds. There is still time to agree a budget, but with political relationships here fractured at the end of last year, this year is starting with the question as to whether it is possible for this executive to agree a budget or any other issue.
The focus needs to be less on culture wars and on division and more on what we can actually achieve together. We don't have forever in this mandate. We have about less than 18 months left. So you've actually got to inject some pace into that. We're not going to do that by taking each other on head to head in the chamber week on week. What we need to do is look at the areas of policy where we do agree and try to take those forward as rapidly as we can.
The SDLP opposition believes the public need to start seeing results from Stormont.
It is tricking the people, it is gaslighting them, making announcements, little graphics, little videos from here about what Assembly is and isn't doing that don't connect to how people receive and engage with services on the ground. And I think it will slip further and further away from the possibility that we were all supposed to expect and the change that we were going to get from the executive.
The wrangling over the budget is likely to dominate the first months of this new year at Stormont. Whatever the outcome, it will set the tone for the year ahead. Vicky Hawthorne, UTV Live, Stormont.
And let's go live to Stormont and join our political editor, Tracy McGee. Tracy, it doesn't appear like there's any sign of an agreement on this budget.
I have to say, John O'Dowd did set out more details in his statement to the Assembly on his draft budget, but it doesn't seem to have shifted the dial at all. There didn't seem to be much support from any of the other parties. Now, again, the Finance Minister has said that he is up for listening to alternatives. He says he is in listening mode, but you'd have to say, judging from what we heard today, while there may be negotiations, as Vicky says, in coming weeks, at this stage, it's looking more likely that instead of a multi-year budget, the best we can hope for is a one-year budget.
Now, separately, the party leaders faced questions about the social media platform X. What did they have to say?
Yeah, this is concerns about the AI tool on X known as Grok, which would allow users to create sexual images, and particularly of concern for women and children. So the politicians were asked about what their views on all of this is today. And I think it's pretty clear that all the politicians have their concerns. Claire Hanna and Naomi Long both saying that if it wasn't for their jobs, they wouldn't be using X at all. And First Minister Michelle Michelle O'Neill said that the response from X over this whole matter has been woefully inadequate.
X is woefully inadequate. I will keep under review. I'm not closing down anything. I will keep under review my actions in terms of how I will communicate. But what's more powerful is whenever policy decisions are taken at a government level to actually say that these platforms can't exist in spaces where they are allowed to create this type of content.
And what's the DUP's position on this?
I think Gavin Robinson got himself into a bit of a tangle today because he said that he hasn't used X since 2017, and that led to questions from reporters about the fact that he does have a platform. There have been tweets. And then about that tweet on the day of the Bloody Sunday verdict for Soldier F, which there was the insignia of the para regiment was put up, causing a great deal of uproar. Gavin Robinson said that he endorsed everything that was on his social media platform. Here's what he told reporters.
I don't go on social media. I don't look at the sort of nonsense that people concern themselves with. I don't bother myself with the sort of insightful, informed replies that are very much the course of public discourse or political discourse on social media.
I have to say the very latest on this story is the fact that the Technology Minister Liz Kendall has said that she's going to change the law this week to make it illegal to create so-called deepfakes.
Tracy McGee live at Stormont. Thank you.
The number of domestic abuse calls made to the police over Christmas has risen once again, with around 1,400 calls having been recorded.
The PSNI says demand for support was consistently high. With more details, here's Stuart Robson.
Yes, a time for celebration in many households across Northern Ireland, but certainly not all. Latest figures released by the PSNI are proof that as Christmas came, so too did fears for safety. Between the 20th of December and the 2nd of January, police received more than 1,400 domestic abuse calls. That's an extra 117 calls compared to the same period the previous year. The highest number of calls was recorded on the very first day of the year, with Christmas Day not far behind. A reflection on how not every home is a happy one during the festive season, with any victims being encouraged to reach out for help.
Usually we would get a spike in the new year. Christmas period, women would usually stay in the home to try and keep things together for the children. But what we found this year is we actually did have calls right over that Christmas period. We had high risk referrals coming in, so that is reflected from the PSNI figures as well. We have experienced that also.
Well, these latest figures are the fourth highest recorded by police during the 2 weeks over Christmas and New Year. The PSNI said that demand for police support was consistently high over the 2-week period.
As a service, we see this as a really positive thing because we're really active in the space encouraging victims to come forward, especially male victims of domestic abuse. There's a lot of hidden victims when it comes to domestic abuse, whether it's through your gender, your sexuality, a disability, maybe there's barriers to your community reporting to police or wanting to see police and stuff outside your home. So as a service, we're really wanting to work in that space, in the year ahead.
A reminder that more information can be found on our website if you or someone you know is experiencing abuse. A domestic and sexual abuse helpline is also available, details of which are on the screen now.
Stuart Robson. A former mayor of Derry has claimed that postal delays across the city have reached crisis point. Pat Ramsey is one of a number of people who have received medical letters after their appointment dates.
Delays were also reported over Christmas, but Royal Mail say that letters have not been prioritised over parcels. Here's our North West correspondent, Gareth Wilkinson.
Posted into the system, but delivery date unknown. A letter did recently drop in through the door of Pat Ramsey's home in Derry. It was for a medical appointment 4 days earlier.
And this is an appointment you've been waiting years for?
Yeah. So what we have is a second class, third class and possibly fourth class distribution of letters that people are so dependent on.
Pat is a former SDLP Assembly member. Now he runs a Lost and Found page on social media. It's an online institution in Derry, but even Pat can't locate missing letters. And his site has become a forum for many others to vent their frustrations.
This guy's saying a number of letters through the post on Saturday, and one of them dated the 5th of December and the 13th of December, both of them for appointments that are gone. It's causing stress, it's causing worry, and it's causing, people anxiety. They're waiting a letter to see a consultant over a serious medical problem. They find it's coming too late.
Delivery delays in Derry just don't happen at Christmas, but the situation became acute over the festive period. The union representing postal workers say up to 40 extra staff were drafted in to deal with the backlog.
There's been people brought in to Derry to try and clear it, but we also have vacancies in Derry. That's a major issue. If you're not running with a full complement of staff, you're not going to be able to deliver your day-to-day mail, never mind the mail over Christmas.
Royal Mail insists letters have not been deprioritised, but told UTV parcels can be cleared first during exceptionally busy periods because they take up more space, which is a health and safety issue. And local politicians say Derry's sorting office in the city centre is now too small.
What needs to happen here is that there's a fit-for-purpose office open in Derry for sorting the mail, but also that services cannot be removed from our city centre, and we need to see a continuity of service and an assurance that before any new office is open, those services are rubber stamped and are safe in our city centre.
It's a problem that needs short and long-term solutions delivered. Gareth Wilkinson, UTV Live, Derry.
Well, still to come on the programme, a County Antrim father and daughter miss out, winning television's biggest jackpot, but still take home a whopping £75,000.
And Will joins us for a roundup of the sport.
Time now to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV news at 6:30.
And here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up in the programme, tensions continue to rise as Iran's foreign minister says his country is ready for war. That's if the US intervenes following a deadly Iranian crackdown on anti-government protests. We'll have reaction from Washington also tonight. Is this the biggest defection yet for Reform UK? The former Tory Chancellor Nadeem Zahawi joins Nigel Farage's ranks. And fresh off the back of the biggest ever FA Cup shock, we're with the heroes of Macclesfield as they find out who they'll face in the fourth round. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
If you were watching ITV last night, you'd have seen a father and daughter from Northern Ireland coming within touching distance of more than £1 million.
While they didn't win the top prize, David and Emma Radcliffe enjoyed an experience of a lifetime. David, who's a school principal, has been telling Paul Riley about his newfound fame at Grace Hill Primary in Ballymena.
Would you like to see your first question?
Please.
Yeah. Here it is.
A massive chance for a limitless prize. And last night, this father and daughter duo from County Antrim were in it to win it.
Yeah. Yes.
Really?
Pharmacist Emma and her primary school principal dad, David Radcliffe, had their mental agility tested by Ant and Dec. Back at school today, David faced even more quick-fire questions.
Oh, I would say the hardest question for me was spell arachnophobia, because I'm dyslexic and I can't spell, so I had to leave that up to Emma. It's been fantastic. I was out to see the children coming in and you just see the smile on their faces and they go, "You were on television last night? I saw you on television last night."
So you're a big game show fan?
Oh, I love game shows. As a family, we watch them on a Saturday night. It's what really pulls our family together, and we're very competitive. Being on the show, you need to forget about the cameras and you just focus on the game, because Em and I were really wanted to play the game. So yes, but to meet Ant and Dec were fantastic and they're lovely.
Emma and David just fell short of winning more than £1 million, which would have been a TV game show record. Well, 75 grand's not so bad.
Yes, and I said to the children upstairs, they asked me the same question, if we won the £1 million, I might have retired and I wouldn't have been in Grace Hill. I'm not being retired, I've met the children in Grace Hill, they're brilliant.
So 75 grand between the two of you, I'm guessing that's going to help all the family?
I'm afraid it's not between the two of us. We made a deal before we went on that every child would get part of it.
And for you, it's about giving something back to the family who've been so supportive of you through ill health, David?
Correct. When I lost my leg in 2015, the family just rallied around me and they've been fantastic, especially my wife holding the family together. It's lovely to say to her, there's a wee bit back. Thank you so much. I'm getting emotional now because she's just been brilliant with us.
Talking about emotions, how are you going to deal with the newfound celebrity status you have?
It's not easy. High five and all the children coming into school. It is lovely to a certain extent. But it's 15 minutes of fame. Tomorrow it'll be, who's that boy with one leg? So it'll last for today maybe, and then tomorrow it'll be forgotten. So make the most of it today.
Lovely story. Now, the weather had an impact on sport at the weekend.
And here's Will to tell us all.
What a signing! John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Good evening. Ulster have been awarded a 28-0 bonus point victory after their Challenge Cup game with the Cheetahs in the Netherlands was called off. Even a week out from the match, the pitch at the NRCA Stadium in Amsterdam was covered in snow, and with Storm Goretti on the way, conditions weren't going to improve.
The long-range weather forecast was starting to show that they were going to get it badly. Ulster were on 3-4 times a day, wanting to make sure that the game was going ahead, and we're trying to find out for us, the fans, because they knew that we were all going to be travelling, and they knew there was quite a few going.
The pitch was cleared for the Cheetahs and Ulster to train, but the snow around the pitch led to some snow fun.
The Cheetahs started playing snowballs, and because they hadn't seen snow, that got out on social media, and the council appeared on Friday and said no events whatsoever on outdoors on council property.
And with that, the decision was taken on Friday to move the game to Duke's Rugby.
It was -7 in Amsterdam. 100 kilometres wasn't really going to make that much difference. They couldn't get studs into the pitch. And that was that. I think the players actually went to the referee and said, no way you can play on that.
For the Ulster fans that did make the trip for no game, a visit from some of the players certainly helped brighten the mood. Well, in Gaelic games, Derry will face Donegal and Monaghan will host Tyrone in Wednesday's McKenna Cup semi-finals. Meanwhile, there was heartache for both Glenullen and Clocker at Croke Park as they were beaten in their All-Ireland Club Intermediate and Junior finals respectively. Well, the weather meant 6 Irish Cup games were postponed at the weekend, with those games rearranged for tomorrow night or Tuesday week. In those that did go ahead, holders Dungannon Swift started their cup defence with a 3-0 win over Ards. Coleraine, Carrick, Cliftonville and Linfield all also progressed to the next round. Now, a major blow for Northern Ireland, and Conor Bradley has been ruled out for the rest of the season due to a knee injury and will miss March's crucial World Cup playoffs. He's also doubtful to be fit should Northern Ireland reach the tournament in North America. The defender suffered bone and ligament damage in Liverpool's Premier League game with Arsenal last week. That's all your sport this evening. Have a good week.
What a signing! John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Irish eyes were smiling last night as the film Hamnet, based on a book by the Coleraine-born writer Maggie O'Farrell, picked up 2 awards at the Golden Globes for Best Drama and Best Actress.
Sarah Clark reports.
And the Golden Globe goes to, you want to help me out? Yeah. Hamnet.
Hamnet is based on the best-selling book of the same name by Coleraine-born author Maggie O'Farrell. The Northern Ireland native also co-wrote the screenplay with the director Chloe Zhao. It tells the story of the death of Shakespeare's son, which inspired him to write one of his most famous plays, Hamlet.
What do you wish to do, Hamlet?
I shall be one of Father's players.
Alongside Best Picture, Jessie Buckley from County Kerry was named Best Actress for her portrayal of Shakespeare's wife, Agnes Hathaway, who starred alongside another Irish star, Paul Mescal, as the bard himself.
But thank you, Golden Globes, Chloe, Paul, Maggie.
The Golden Globes are among the first accolades to be handed out before the Oscars, the top honours of the film industry.
We've seen Shakespeare in love. This is Shakespeare in loss. This is a film about a mother grieving the death of her son and how that inspired one of the greatest plays ever written, Hamlet. But for the Irish film industry, this is a significant moment. Maggie O'Farrell, the screenwriter, author of the novel, and Jessie Buckley, lead actress. What a talent she is, and now favourite for the Academy Award.
President of Ireland, Catherine Connolly, congratulated Buckley, Mescal and O'Farrell and said it was a fantastic recognition for the continued exceptional success of the whole Irish film industry. Sarah Clark, UTV Live.
It's weather time now, and it's definitely been feeling a wee bit warmer.
And here's Louise. Good news?
Well,
Well, no snow this week in the forecast. Depends if you're into building snowmen, etc. Yes, today 6 degrees warmer than last Monday. It was a chilly 3 degrees last Monday, 9 today. Now, we do have some settled conditions tomorrow afternoon. Plenty of crisp spells of sunshine, but it will start to feel cool again. We're drawing in a northwesterly air feed, so we could have a touch of frost tomorrow night. It's all eyes really on Thursday. There's a deep area of low pressure pushing just across southern areas. Now, if it tracks off towards the east, we could just have some freezing fog to start the day on Thursday with crisp spells of sunshine into the afternoon. If not, we could have some wet and windy weather. Here's the forecast.
After a cold start, temperatures are expected to rise. UTV weather, sponsored by the Grand Irona R290 heat pump.
So after a largely dry and bright start this morning, we've had showers develop through the afternoon and they will stay with us right through this evening. Unsettled this week at times, but we do have plenty of bright and sunny spells coming our way tomorrow afternoon. Remaining fairly breezy though and quite chilly and cool. Today the winds came from a southwesterly direction. They will switch round to a northwesterly tomorrow, making it feel quite fresh, taking the edge off the temperatures. Under clearing skies tomorrow evening, we have a brief ridge of high pressure, so we can expect a touch of frost in places. But we have plenty of showers merging to longer spells of rain overnight tonight. 1 or 2 heavy bursts there. Quite a lot of low cloud and murk over the tops of the Mourne Mountains. But to lower levels, the breeze will help to keep it frost and fog free. Temperatures dipping to lows of 2 degrees Celsius. However, they may fall a few degrees lower in the coldest rural spots. So a cloudy, murky and damp start tomorrow morning, but very quickly becoming dry and bright from the west. Lengthy spells of sunshine into the afternoon. The breeze gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. The chance of the odd isolated shower across the northwest with highs of 6 or 7 degrees Celsius. Across the rest of Ireland, once the rain and cloud clears eastwards, plenty of bright and sunny spells developing through into the afternoon with a gentle breeze and highs of around 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, so in and around average for this time of year. Over the next couple of days, we do have some changeable conditions. Temperatures will fall away very quickly tomorrow evening with a touch of frost possible. A dry start on Wednesday, but we can expect some rain into the afternoon. At the minute, Thursday looks dry and bright, but there is the potential for some wet and windy weather pushing up from the south. Bye-bye.
UTV weather, sponsored by the Grand Irona R290 heat pump.
That's the way it is in Northern Ireland this Monday tea time. I'll have the next local bulletin at 10:30.
ITV News continues next, but from Paul and me, and of course all of us working on the new TV news team, have a very good evening.
Good evening.